I cut back on 30% of my expenses by doing these things. Every dollar you spend on things that you don't really need is like agreeing to work another day at the office, instead of moving abroad to a warmer climate. Here, you can walk on the beach in the middle of January and get your vitamin D from the sun and not from a bottle. In this video, I'm going to share the things I stopped buying so I could retire early to this paradise. I'll tell you why I think you should reconsider spending on these things. And I'll share the opportunity cost, which is what you could have done with the money if you chose to invest it instead. Just one thing, there's no judgment here. I've spent a lot of money on all of these things too. We've all had our spending phases. So let's get right into it. Number one, I ditched the idea of buying a house. For the past 5 years, I've been living in rental apartments. Why? Well, once my kids left the nest, I realized I no longer needed to be tied to a specific neighborhood or a city or even a country. Renting gives me that flexibility to live wherever I want. Secondly, I decided that later on in life, when I get older, I will want to move closer to my kids. And since they haven't settled down yet, I want to be flexible to be able to make that move in the coming years. In the meantime, I decided to experience life in a different country, and that brought me to Portugal. So renting gives me the maximum flexibility, and I see it as a huge benefit that I don't need to take care of the maintenance of the property. At the same time, I can take the money which I haven't put into buying a home and invest it in real estate in areas where properties have a higher yield. I know that this buy or rent topic is something that people feel very strongly about, and it's very controversial. And I'm not saying that what I'm doing is the best thing for everyone. I'm just speaking from the perspective of someone who's in their 50s. I just think that at this age, owning a house is not a must, and your money can work better for you through investments in rental properties. So my view of it, you live wherever you want, but you buy real estate wherever you get the highest yield, which is the return on your investment. This works for me, but every person has their own circumstances. Number two, I stopped buying things that spoil my travel experience. Last March, I worked remotely from Tokyo for 6 weeks. I booked an Airbnb in a lovely neighborhood. It wasn't close to any tourist attractions, but it gave me a chance to feel the real vibe of Tokyo. Or that's what I thought. Airbnb can be a bit of a hit or miss situation. I've stayed in many Airbnbs in the past few years, but not anymore. I had too many unpleasant experiences where the photos were stunning and the place looked amazing. But then once you get there, the reality is that you find hair in the bathroom, or it's in a sketchy neighborhood and you feel unsafe. And Tokyo was my breaking point. You pay so much to travel to the other side of the world, and you go somewhere which is so enjoyable, like Japan, and then Airbnb ruins your experience. The bed felt very uncomfortable, and when I lifted the mattress, I noticed that it was broken and some pieces were even coming out. It started to hurt my back, so I asked for a partial refund and I left the place. The thing is, you read the guest reviews on Airbnb and no one wants to be labeled as the bad guest that complains, so it's hard to get an honest review. That's why Airbnb is not for me anymore, because it spoils my travel experience. I prefer to stay in a hotel where I know what to expect and I'm getting a standard level of cleanliness which is regulated. Number 3, I stopped buying cheap things. As an example, take these suitcases. I used to love buying these beautiful, trendy, colorful suitcases for $50, and I enjoyed them because these colorful suitcases stood out on the luggage carousel at the airport and I could easily spot them. And I got a lot of compliments because of their colors. I travel at least once a month and my suitcase suitcases go through a lot of mileage. They get bumped and tossed, and then I started to notice that they break every other trip, either because they were too thin or too flimsy or the zipper broke. I had to replace them like every other month. So I decided it's time to invest in quality suitcases, and I bought 2 Samsonite suitcases. This is not sponsored, by the way, I'm just sharing with you what I use. These were really expensive, like $400 each, and they go through the same wear and tear. I still travel at least once a month. I moved to the other side of the world with just these suitcases, and they were packed almost bursting at the seams. They went through a lot, and they still look like they're new. When you buy something that you know you're going to use for a very long time, it's better to buy quality, even if it's expensive, because when you calculate the cost per use, which is the price divided by the number of times that you're going to use it, then it turns out it's not that expensive. Compare that to a $50 cheap suitcase that breaks after 2-3 trips. That's not exactly budget friendly. Number 4 is alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol mostly because I hate that foggy feeling in my head the next day after you drink. For me, it's a wasted day. I can't answer emails, I can't write scripts for my YouTube channels, I need to detox and wait for all these toxins to leave my body. Besides that, I'm thinking of my brain health, and I want to try and keep as many brain cells alive as possible so I don't become an embarrassment for my kids as I grow older. So quitting alcohol started as a way to preserve my mental clarity, but it turns out that it also saves a lot of money. Besides the obvious, the less alcohol you consume, the less money you spend on it, I recently moved abroad and I set up a new private health insurance. And one of the questions they asked me before signing me up was about my drinking habits. Insurance companies charge their premiums based on your health condition and on your lifestyle. And drinking raises the risk for all kinds of illnesses. So you might be asked to pay higher premiums, and you need to be very transparent about how much you're drinking, because the insurance company might deny your claims if they find out that you didn't disclose your drinking habits honestly. Number 5, premium anti-aging skincare products. Before this YouTube channel, I was a YouTuber in the beauty niche, and I got sent many different products, and I also did many collaborations and sponsorships with brands to promote their skincare and beauty products. I was always very careful not to make any promises about the product because I didn't want to just parrot what the brand wanted me to say. So I did quite a lot of research about beauty ingredients. I read tons of articles, and I spoke with the best dermatologists and asked them about the beauty industry claims. And I learned that there are very few ingredients that actually prevent or reverse aging. So after being in that industry for quite some time, the 2 products that I use are retinoids, specifically tretinoin, which started years ago as a medical treatment for acne, and then the researchers found that it helps promote skin cell turnover, so it's actually very effective for reducing wrinkles. Tretinoin is available by prescription from your doctor, and it costs a few dollars. The second thing that prevents premature aging is sunscreen. We now know that the sun is responsible for 90% of skin aging. So sunscreen and a hat whenever I'm out in the sun. And honestly, that's what I use on my face. I sometimes use natural oils or a very natural face lotion based on natural ingredients, but that's it. All these premium anti-aging products can be very expensive, and they may not always justify the price. If you're getting value from this video so far, please do me a quick favor, just click on the like button below. It helps with the algorithm and the ranking, and why not subscribe to the channel and follow if you haven't already done so. Number 6 is life insurance. A few years back, I decided to stop having life insurance, and I realized that this might make some people feel uncomfortable. So, why did I do it? First of all, because I reached financial freedom. I created enough income streams to a point where I don't rely on a salary anymore. So, I don't need life insurance to secure my income. Secondly, my kids are grown-ups and they're able to provide for themselves in case I can't support them. And I've built assets that would be more than enough to take care of them in case something happens to me. I think it's very important to check the need for life insurance from time to time because life changes, our financial circumstances change, and so do our responsibilities. Number 7 is designer handbags and clothes. These are things I stopped buying and I don't regret it. It makes me really angry to watch the sneaky psychological tricks that luxury brands are pulling on us to manipulate us into buying their products. And the opportunity cost, which is what you could have gained by choosing to invest that money instead of buying a handbag or a luxury watch, you'd be surprised. Take the Birkin bag. The manufacturing cost of a $10,000 Birkin bag is probably around 20% of the retail price. And some of these designer pieces aren't even made by Italian craftsmen or even in Italy anymore, even though they carry the tag made in Italy. I made a whole video about it and I will link it at the end of this video. Luxury brands send celebrities and influencer designer clothes and handbags for free, so they wear them on social media. That's how we get the impression that designer items go with wealth and success. And we want to look as though we're successful, we want to look wealthy and be popular. These brands are playing on our weaknesses. They're taking advantage of our insecurities. Basically, we buy these luxury items as a status symbol. We buy them because they cost a lot of money. We're actually signaling to other people that we can afford it. Luxury brands are selling us a costume to show off as if we're rich. And it makes absolutely no financial sense because the higher the price of the item, the more people want to buy it. Now, let's look at the numbers to see how rich you could be if you didn't buy a designer bag and instead you invested that money into buying a low-cost index fund tracking the stock market. Let's say you invested $10,000 5 years ago in an ETF that tracks the S&P 500. The average return of the S&P 500 over the last 5 years was 11.7% annually, bringing your initial $10,000 investment to $17,388. The average price of a Birkin bag after 5 years of use depends on its condition. It's not really a reliable investment that can be part of your financial strategy for retirement. So this is called the missed opportunity cost of buying designer bags. The thing is, these things I stopped buying are just one strategy I used to retire early in my 50s. So go watch my other video, how I built 7 streams of income and fired my 9-to-5 job. And I will see you again very soon. Take care.